What's up, my people? I got 6 points from First Peter on how Christians are to live in times of uncertainty, such as the times we are living in presently. We're diving in here, people, at this time. And the first very large point, as you can see, is know where your home is. And this is from 1 Peter 1, chapter 1, and it's right off the bat, verses 1 through 5. And so you're probably stuck at home. And maybe you're thankful that you have a home. I hope that you're grateful that you have a home to quarantine in and to not be out and, about and to go to. But I just want to remind you that that is not your ultimate home. That's not your ultimate resting place. God has given us an inheritance in Him. And so let me go ahead and read this, and you've heard it before probably, but I'm reading it again. It says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who, according to His great mercy, has caused us to be born again to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, to obtain an inheritance which is imperishable and undefiled, and will not fade away, reserved in heaven for you, who are protected by the power of God. Wow, through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time." Wow, what a great reminder that our hope is not in this life, in this world. Our ultimate security and our foundation and our home is kept in heaven for us and is secure and is protected by the power of God. And so we set our hope on that, and we can rejoice in the certainty of our eternal inheritance, which is coming. You getting this? So, tip number 1, put on the glasses, then the earmuffs. If you try to ask any questions, I can't hear you. And so point number 2. Point number 1, remember, know where your home really is. Point number 2, prepare your minds for action. And this is from 1 Peter 1:13. It says this: "Therefore, prepare your minds for action. Keep sober in spirit. Fix your hope completely on the grace to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So the whole world, right, when this pandemic, the coronavirus came, that really the world wasn't prepared for this because nothing has ever happened like it. The president in a press conference just today encouraged the people to have a wartime-like mentality in defeating what he called this invisible enemy. And I think that's so interesting. I think as Christians, Peter is encouraging us to prepare, to be ready when challenges come, to engage our thoughts and our minds. There's a mental battle going on against fear, against anxiety, against depression. And so be prepared to set your hope. So these things are going to come, but we're to set our hope in the midst of these things on God, ultimately, in what is going to be revealed. So it's kind of telling us to zoom out and remember the eternal and set your hope on the grace that is going to be revealed. And so just practically, don't let the news and the what ifs of all that's going on, don't let those kind of things consume your thoughts, but instead allow the hope of God that he has brought to us, this eternal inheritance, let that consume our minds. And this will then set us apart. This is going to produce in us a different way of living. And that's contagious. That hope, that's contagious, and people are going to ask, what is different about you? And number two, which I'm going to cut and present to you all. I almost can't read my own handwriting. Point number 2. Okay, point number 3. Point number 3, respect our authority. And this is 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 13 through 17. But honor all people, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. And so, bottom line of this, y'all, let's be an example to the world of love and respect toward authority. And so let's not, because we're Christians, because we have this hope, we're just going to do whatever we want. And we have this freedom because, this world is not our home and we don't care if we die or whatever. We shouldn't be worried, so let's just go out and do whatever. No, let's be mindful of our brothers and sisters around us. Let's be mindful of authority, and let's set examples of people who are peaceable and seeking the good of others and the good of the community. And so practical things like go to your local government sites, websites. They have really good information on how to mitigate the spread of this virus. The White House, again, put out a little small little card that's 12 days to slow the virus. Virginia Department of Health has a ton of information that is practical and helpful that you can go to online. 17, we have respect our authorities. You got that? Okay, so point number 4, avoid cabin fever. And so this is in the context of really how Christians are to treat and engage with the people around them, how we're to engage in relationships. It goes all the way from our government, which is what we already talked about, to our spouses, which for a youth group, none of y'all are married, but the point is from government, those are distant, to those who are closest to us, who are in the home, who we're engaging with every day, multiple times a day, throughout the day. how are we to engage with them? And so that's really what I want to talk about in avoiding cabin fever here. And so I think chapter 3, verse 8 through 9 kind of sums all this up. And hopefully I don't belabor it too much, but he says this, to sum up, all of you be harmonious, sympathetic, brotherly, kind-hearted, and humble in spirit, not returning evil for evil or insult for insult, but giving a blessing instead. For you were called for the very purpose that you might inherit a blessing. I love this. As Christians, we're not to return evil for evil. That's really how the world operates. The world operates where you hurt me and I'm going to be defensive and I'm going to hurt you back. Or if you're good to me, then, well, we can be friends and let's be good to each other. But as Christians, and what the model that Christ gives us is when someone hurts us, when someone says something to us, when someone annoys us at home, when you're sibling and you have cabin fever, I just encourage you to pause and to remember Christ as your example, and then respond in love, seeking to bless that person, as opposed to returning evil for evil. Because when we go the evil for evil way, that's just going to continue to divide us and separate us and get us torn apart. But if we step in and follow the example of Christ, when someone treats us poorly, we can engage in love, we can respond in love, it begins to rebuild and reconnect. And fever, while we're in here, respecting our authorities. That's 1 Peter 3. So that's point number 4, avoid cabin fever. Respond in love. Point number 5. Doink, doink. Pray on purpose. So what do I mean by pray on purpose? This is 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 7. It says, the end of all things is near, therefore be of sound judgment and sober spirit for the purpose of prayer. I love this idea of sound judgment. So I think a lot of people are praying right now. Like people who don't normally pray, people who don't pray a lot are praying a lot more. But I just encourage you all, and this is an exhortation for myself too, to continue to be vigilant. Get on your knees. So this idea of having sound judgment, I think it's know what you're praying for. Be specific. Take time to think about when you're going to pray for these things and make a list of things to pray for, and then follow up with and look into how God is working, trusting that He responds to prayer. And so, point number 6, the last point. This is probably one of my favorite passages in one of my favorite verses. So point number 6, God cares about you. And so this comes out of 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 6 through 7. It says this, therefore humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that He may exalt you at the proper time. So that's kind of a parenthetical phrase. So humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, casting all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. I love this. So, in Isaiah, Jack's been preaching and Jack's been talking about how we are to let God be God. We can trust Him. He is sovereign. He is in control of all things, and we're not in control. And so let God be God. But, so there's this humbling under His mighty hand, knowing that He's going to exalt us at the proper time, but He also tells us to cast and just lay off our fear, our anxiety, our concerns, cast them onto Him. He cares about it. He cares about how we're feeling. He cares about what we're afraid of. He cares about what we're anxious about. Why are we casting our anxiety on Him? Because He cares about it. And He wants to take that, and He wants us to put our trust and our hope in Him. And that doesn't necessarily mean it is always an instant cure for anxiety, but I think this process of casting our anxiety on Him, it trains our hearts. It begins to train our hearts and train and prepare our minds to allow Him to handle our anxiety, and then trust Him that He's in control. And these things that we're not in control of, we can cast on Him, knowing that He is good. He is our Father. He's the leader of our heavenly home. And so I end with that please be purposeful to seek God during this time. I miss seeing you all. I miss seeing you all this evening, but I know God has a purpose in all this. And so set your hope in God alone. I'm praying for you, and I will send more video updates as long as is necessary to do this. I'm not sure how long we're going to do this, but I will continue to make a way to want to be able to connect. If you have questions, you can email me, david@brbible.org. And yeah, I hope we can get together soon. But until then, I'll continue to keep you updated here. Thanks. Bye. Now I have to clean up. That's going on right now. So I have here several points that I'm going to be making. I also have a workshop